So where did artificial intelligence come from? What advances have led to the modern AI that we see today? And what setbacks have occurred along the way? To answer these questions, we need to learn about the history of artificial intelligence. As an overview of this module, first we will learn about classical AI, the first AI boom based on symbolic computation. Next, we'll learn about the first AI winter, the setbacks and failures of classical AI research. Then we will learn about knowledge-based AI, the second AI boom based on expert systems. Next, we will learn about the second AI winter, the collapse of the expert systems industry. Then we will talk about data-driven AI, the third AI boom based on machine learning. Finally, we will discuss the possibility of a third AI winter based on a potential tech bubble in AI that may be growing. So how did the AI industry get started? What early advances and successes led to the first AI research boom? Artificial intelligence has been around for quite some time. In fact, the field of AI dates all the way back to the 1950s. Back then, the majority of all AI systems focused on manipulating symbols to replicate abstract thinking. This involved performing computer operations or abstract symbols like words, numbers, and mathematical operators. So many experts believed that human intelligence could be fully replicated in a computer this way. AI research at this time largely involved playing simple games like checkers and solving toy problems in highly constrained environments. We refer to this approach as classical AI, symbolic AI, or simply good old-fashioned AI. This era of AI saw several breakthroughs in many areas of computer science. First, there were advances in computational search. Heuristic search algorithms were able to find solutions to many problems involving a large number of states and actions. Second, there were advances in computational logic. Computers were able to write mathematical proofs, solve algebra problems, and verify electronic circuit design. Third, there were advances in natural language processing. Computers were able to crudely simulate human conversations with a few basic rules about words, sentence structure, and grammar. These advances led to several early successes in classical AI. First, a computer program known as the general problem solver was able to solve basic word problems and puzzles. It could take well-formed problems and search all possible action result branches until it found a solution to the problem. Second, the first text-based chatbot named Eliza fooled many people into thinking it was actually a human. However, Eliza had no real understanding of what it was saying. It was just replying with canned responses using basic rules of grammar. Third, a program named SHRDLU, which could solve simple problems in a constrained virtual environment called a microworld. Could type commands in English like pick up the small red block and put it on top of the large green block. The program would display the resulting geometric world on the screen. You could also ask it questions like what is supporting the red block now, to which it would respond the large green block. These early successes made it appear to many people that we were just a few years away from truly intelligent systems. Why didn't we end up with truly intelligent machines during the era of classical AI? Why were these experts' predictions so wrong? Unfortunately, the era of classical AI was hindered by several significant limitations of the time. All right. So first, there was a limited computer power and memory in the 1950s and 60s. This limited classical AI to solving trivial or toy problems in a very constrained environments. Second, it was discovered that the complexity of AI problems explodes exponentially for any non-trivial problems. There are simply too many possible states and actions in even a single game like chess. to search all possible moves in a reasonable amount of time. Finally, symbolic AI is great for solving abstract problems like math and logic problems. However, most real world problems like opening a door requires sub-symbolic forms of intelligence like sensation, perception, and motor control. As a result of these and other limitations, classical AI experienced several very public failures. First, in the late 50s and early 60s, there is considerable interest in machine translation of human languages. However, by 1966, the National Research Council concluded that machine translation was still more expensive, less accurate, and slower than human translation. Second, after initial excitement about early neural networks called perceptrons, severe limitations were discovered in the late 60s. As a result, almost no research was done on neural networks for an entire decade until these limitations could be overcome. Finally, in 1973, Sir James Lighthill released the report commissioned by the British government on the state of AI research. His highly critical and pessimistic report about the current state and current state and future of AI ended funding for AI research in almost all British. These limitations and public failures of classical AI led to what is now known as the first AI winter, a period of reduced funding and interest in AI research from 1974 to 1980. During this time, many AI research projects and AI startups lost their funding almost overnight. The heyday of classical AI had ended. How did we recover from the first AI winter? What technological advances led to the next boom in AI? Well, the 1980s experienced the resurgence of interest in the era of knowledge-based AI, also known as the era of expert systems. There are several advances in artificial intelligence during this era. So uh, this is the biggest advance in knowledge-based AI, which was the development of expert systems. An expert system is a computer program that can answer questions or solve problems in a limited domain of knowledge. Knowledge was represented in a knowledge base as a set of facts and a set of rules that connected them. Human experts would input knowledge into a knowledge base in the form of facts and a set of if-then rules. In addition, there are also systems that represented knowledge as a graph of words and their semantic relationships. Expert systems use an inference engine to deduce new facts from known facts that are contained within the knowledge base. For example, if a knowledge base contains the facts, all humans are mortal and Joe is a human, then the inference engine would conclude that Joe is a mortal. These expert systems were able to perform tasks like diagnose diseases, detect chemical compounds from sensor readings, and manage an inventory of parts. There were many successful applications of knowledge-based AI during the 1980s. Firstly, in the 1970s, Stanford University created an expert system for medicine called MySyn. By answering a series of yes-no questions, MySyn was able to diagnose blood infections and recommend a course of treatment on par with a human doctor. Second, in the 1980s, the Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC, developed an export system for a computer parts inventory named as XCON. In 1986, this XCON had processed over 80,000 orders with 95 to 98% accuracy and was saving DEC over $25 million annually. Third, in 1974, a person called Harold Cohen began creating an export system for painting named Aaron. By the 1980s, Aaron was able to produce original artworks that are still exhibited and appreciated as fine art yet to this day. Because of these early successes, nearly every major corporation in the United States was either using or investing in export systems in the 1980s. So why didn't knowledge-based AI live up to all the hype in the 1980s? What happened to all of the amazing benefits that we were promised from export systems? Unfortunately, there are several limitations to knowledge-based AI of the 1980s. First, knowledge-based AI systems were expensive to maintain. They required a domain expert and a knowledge engineer to manually input new facts and rules to update the system. Second, knowledge-based AI systems were very rigid and inflexible. They would often produce grossly incorrect errors when given unusual or novel inputs. Finally, knowledge-based AI systems were not very efficient. Expert systems with a large set of facts and rules were slow, which limited them to solving only simple problems. Throughout the 1980s, export systems proved useful, but only in a few special cases. These limitations of knowledge-based AI led to several setbacks and failures in this era. First, early successes like Mycin created tremendous optimism, which drove the export system boom in the 1980s. However, by the end of the 1980s, neither Mycin or any of its successors ever made it into production use in any hospital. Second, in the 1980s, there was a growing market for computers specifically designed to learn Lisp, the most popular programming language for export systems. However, by the end of the 80s, the entire Lisp market had collapsed and almost all Lisp machines companies went out of business. Finally, in 1982, Japan began its fifth generation computer systems project to create a new era of computer systems to enable future AI technologies. Unfortunately, at the end of this 10-year project, it had spent over 50 million yen, about 400 million in US dollars, and was terminated without having met any of its goals. Throughout the 1980s, there was once again inflated expectations about what export systems would be able to accomplish. The AI industry had grown from a few $1 million in 1980 to billions of dollars by 1988. Unfortunately, knowledge-based AI systems were unable to live up to the hype and failed to meet its expectations. As a result, the entire market for export systems and general interest in artificial intelligence collapsed. This led to the second AI winter, a period of time from 1988 until the year until the early 20 until the early 2000s, where funding and research for AI dried up. Second AI winter to end, and why are we now finally seeing practical applications of AI in our world? So after the second AI winter, many researchers went back to the drawing boards in search of a new path to practical AI. The first two eras of AI were based on the assumption that intelligence could be hard-coded in computers. However, this third era is based on the realization that knowledge can instead be learned from data. They refer to this type of artificial intelligence as data-driven AI, or simply machine learning. There were several advances that got us out of the second AI winter and into the third AI boom. First, we now have much more powerful computers. A desktop computer today is literally hundreds of millions of times more powerful than the best computers in the early 1950s. Second, we now have lots more data. A tremendous amount of low cost, readily available digital information now exists to train AI models using machine learning. Third, we now have better algorithms for teaching machines with data. Modern machine learning algorithms are easier to train, can learn more complex patterns, and can generalize better to new scenarios. Finally, there's been a shift to a much more disciplined approach to AI. This much more rigorous evidence-based data science approach has helped keep expectations based in reality rather than hype. As a result, there have been many notable successes in modern data-driven AI. First, in 2005, the Stanford Racing self-driving car, Stanley, was the first vehicle to complete DARPA's Grand Challenge. Stanley was able to drive itself over 11 kilometers with more than 100 sharp turns through narrow tunnels and a winding mountain pass. Second, in 2011, IBM's Watson competed against the top two former contestants on the TV trivia show Jeopardy! The data-driven AI emerged victorious with a score of over 77,000 compared to the human players who scored 24 and 21,000 respectively. Third, in 2014, Google's DeepMind created AlphaGo, an AI that could beat humans at the board game Go, which is astronomically more complex than chess. So by 2017, this AlphaGo could beat the top human player in the world, and its successor, AlphaZero, could teach itself to become a superhuman player in under 24 hours. These successes and more have led to a new wave of excitement and hype surrounding modern data-driven AI. And we finally are we finally on a steady path to artificial general intelligence, or are we riding a new tech bubble that's about to burst, leading to a third AI winter? There have clearly been some amazing successes stories in the era of data-driven AI. However, modern AI still has some pretty significant limitations. First, while data-driven AI has become really good at pattern detection, it's still not able to reason very well. Reasoning about information and creating new plans to achieve goals is still a very difficult challenge for modern AI. Second, data-driven AI relies on a large amounts of labeled training data. There's a significant cost to collection, prepare, and label these datasets for training. Third, data-driven AI only learns what you teach it. As a result, bad data produces bad results. Biased data produces biased results. Garbage in, garbage out. Because of these current limitations and other issues, there have been some notable features of data-driven AI. First, there have been a few incidents involving self-driving vehicles. These collisions have led to vehicular damage, human injuries, and in a few cases, human fatalities. Second, in 2016, Microsoft developed a self-learning chatbot for Twitter named Tay. Unfortunately, within 24 hours, some users had taught it to respond with racist, misogynistic, and hateful comments. Third, IBM's Watson didn't live up to expectations when it was first used in medicine to diagnose and recommend treatments for cancer. Feedback from medical experts indicated that it often produced obviously inaccurate and unsafe cancer treatment recommendations. So the question you might be asking yourself right now is whether you are on the verge of a third AI winter. We have definitely seen an increase in hype around data-driven AI in recent years. Will we end up in the same situation that caused the first two AI winters, or have we finally entered a sustainable growth phase for artificial intelligence? There are many reasons to believe that another AI winter may be just around the corner. However, there are also many reasons to believe that this time might be different. To understand why, we need to learn about the trends driving modern data-driven. In this module, we learned about the history of AI. First, we learned about classical AI, the first AI boon based on symbolic computation. Next, we learned about the first AI winter, the setbacks and failures of classical AI research. Then we learned about knowledge-based AI, the second AI boom based on expert systems. Next, we learned about the second AI winter, the collapse of the expert systems industry. Then we learned about the data-driven AI, the third AI boom based on machine learning. Finally, we discussed the possibility of a third AI winter based on a potential tech bubble in AI that may be growing.